I kind of just wanted to see if you had any advice for independent artists looking to build their presence in general. Should they sign with a small label?
The most important thing that you can do, which I think you already do, is content. Like just content overload. I think, to me, the best way to break yourself is to have a solid fan base. That is where you get the most leverage. And in this game, like, I'll just frame it like this. There are 40,000 tracks uploaded to streaming services every day. So 40,000. So like, how are you going to stand out? How is your music going to stand out amongst all of that? It really, really boils down to the story that you're telling online. Some of the best music launches to me, or career launches to me, were Frank Ocean and Lady Gaga, because they spent so much time, and it's similar to something that Nipsey Hussle said, and that was like his whole motto, is just, it's a marathon. It's really a marathon of building the strongest fan base that you can over time, so that when you're ready to go into, conversations about sync deals, or go into conversations about label deals or pub deals, you have so much leverage because you have a fan base that's championing for you, and that's pretty much backing these companies into a wall where they don't have a choice. There's so many artists. I mean, I used to work in A&R, and half of my workday was spent fielding calls about, can you listen to my demo? Can you watch my video? And that's all day, every day. The same way you would assume that it is in the film industry, where there's so many actors and actresses trying to get their reels, looked at or whatever. It's all about who has done the necessary work to build the buzz online. That is the first place you should start. I wouldn't talk about deals with anybody until you've done that first, because again, you will have so much more power if you have the machine of your fan base behind you. That's where I would focus. By the time Frank Ocean came out, he had a cult following that there was just no denying his entry into the business on a major level. The same with Lady Gaga. I remember the first time I saw her at this little teeny tiny pub in Lower Manhattan, and she was so brilliant. My head exploded to the point where I'm like, this girl, like, her talent, I knew was going to speak for her. It was going to decide everything for her. And that's what happened. She continued to play at little tiny pubs all over Manhattan, to the point where the word of mouth was so incredible that by the time she was speaking to labels about a deal, she was already getting deals in the millions, because her fan base was so solid. And they kind of determine your success. So back in the day, back when I was in the music business, people were still kind of catering to the labels. They were still putting out music, trying to get the labels' attention and trying to, meet all these connected industry people. Whereas now the game is less about trying to impress labels. And it goes back to what I said, it's all about mobilizing a solid fan base. So everything that you do right now, all of your content, all of your, music you're putting out, it really should be just to massage that fan base and get them behind you, so that by the time you start opening up conversations about labels or pub deals or whatever, they don't have a chance. I mean, they don't have a choice but to take you seriously, because you've done what you needed to do on your end to break through the clutter. Back in the day, labels, A&R people, artist development people, they spent more time developing artists and going out and finding, diamonds in the rough. That's all over now. They expect you to do most of that legwork for them before they'll even get involved. So the first thing that, even if you meet somebody, you're in a chance meeting with somebody, you and whatever label person, you might be able to get them to listen to music, and they'll listen to music. And if your music's great, that's fine. But they still want to know that you're savvy enough and motivated enough driven enough, focused enough to put the work in to, like I said, build your base. So that's the first place to start. After that, let's say you've got, your followers are, bubbling, and there's this crazy buzz online. Hopefully you have people coming to you, because that's where A&Rs are now. They're on TikTok. They're looking at the Spotify playlists, like who's got music journalists, like discovering your music and adding it to playlists. All of these things are things that they're looking for you to do first, because they're like, okay, if they've done all this, because here, let me take a step back. If your music's good, your music's good. And once you start putting it out, like word of mouth is gonna eventually give it some legs. Mm-hmm. So that's key, is making sure your product is amazing. Because even I don't care who you end up in front of or what streaming platform you sign up to, if the music's not super duper solid, it's gonna fall flat. I'm just all about like the product being the best it can be. I don't like, no amount of marketing will be able to trick people into becoming fans if the product is not solid. So that's first. If you're putting out solid content and, solid music, solid video content, which you do, doing that enough over time and, making sure that you find your audience. It's not about just like, throwing a rock into outer space. You want to target your audience, the type of music that you do, which from what I've seen is, very poppy, kind of like, it reminds me very like Lower East Side, New York. Where are those people? Where are they consuming content? Where are they consuming music? Where are they consuming video content? You have to find them. Right now, I feel like the audience, like for the dances and stuff that you do and the videos on your social platforms, your audience is absolutely on TikTok. Are you super hyper focused on TikTok right now? Like some of those dance videos that you do could be, dance, challenges, and you getting people to do challenges, to your music. You finding people online that are into the type of music that you do, and you hit them up and say, would you mind doing a dance challenge to my record, or whatever. It's all about using the platforms that your audience uses. The key is just, you have to do a lot of legwork yourself. Go to the platforms and really study them. Study TikTok. Just like, what is going on? What's moving the needle? So many artists have been signed just from TikTok right now. Like, artists are getting signed off of TikTok like crazy. So what's moving the needle there? What are people sharing the most? What are people, Instagram too. Like, what are people sharing the most? Like, are you doing Instagram lives? Like, what on the platforms that we all use right now, what is the most popular thing people are doing on it right now? Make sure you're in the mix.